business and work and leadership and all the rest. I won't put him on the spot right now, but he's got a pretty impressive resume. I'll save you some of the details for now. But Jared, if you wouldn't mind by starting off and talking about how you got your start in the lawn mowing business. How old were you? What did that look like in the first year or two when you did lawn care?
So I just liked mowing. I liked mowing my parents' yard, and so I would see other lawn companies doing yards, and I'm from a small town, Wellington, like 30 miles south of here. And I was like, man, I'd really like to do that. And so you can't do this; it's illegal. But I made some business cards on the computer, and I was sticking them in people's mailboxes in the neighborhood, hoping they'd call.
That's illegal?
Yeah, you can't. So can't do that, but I got away with it in a small
can't
town.
put stuff in mailboxes, or can't make business cards?
You can't put stuff in mailboxes. That's for the mail service only. So anyway, so I did, and I had an old man call me and said, "Hey, you want to mow my yard? I'm going to have knee surgery." And I was like, "Yeah, I think I could do that." And I used his stuff to mow his yard for that summer, and got started, made a little bit of money, bought a cheap mower, and then I just kind of kept growing. And so I'd have a yard here, a yard there, and I'd hold the mower behind my bike, so one hand on the bicycle and one hand on the mower, and I'd pull
Have
the
you ever
stuff.
fell off?
Nope, never fell off, luckily. So, but that's how I got started, and just, 1 or 2 yards, 10 yards, 15 yards, and then I started driving when I was 14, and I bought a cheap piece of commercial equipment and grew a bunch of yards, got up to about 40, and then I really started buying some equipment and really growing some accounts. But didn't really set out to start a business. I just liked to work. I enjoyed mowing, and it just kind of landed in my lap. I mean, not shy of hard work, but it just worked out for me.
It's a great option. One of the things you'll see, guys, is entrepreneurs are always looking for the next best opportunity. All right? And it's not always starting a business. But when you are, at what age did you start?
Probably 10, 11 years old.
There's no better opportunity when you're a teen, 10, 11, 12, even 13, 14, 15. There's no better way to create value economically than with a lawn mowing business. All right? There's no better way. So one of the things you'll notice as Jarrett shares his story is that he took his best opportunity. It's like, man, what can I do when I'm 12? I can't even get a job anywhere. And so I'm going to start mowing. And then he grew and grew and grew. And then at some point, he had a better opportunity than lawn mowing, and he exited. But that's kind of the end of the story. So, Jarrett, let's get a little bit more details of when you were 13. Okay, tell us your world when you were 13. How many customers? Tell us a little bit more about how you got your equipment around before you got that first vehicle.
So when I was 13, I was still using just like a push mower, weed eater, edger, all that stuff. So what I had was like clusters of yards, and so what we'd do is my dad and I would move my mower and like my trash cans and my bags and all my stuff. We'd move it the night before, and I'd keep it at a person's house. And then he'd go to, like we'd go home, he'd go to work the next day, and I'd ride my bike. I'd mow 2 or 3 yards, put all the stuff back. When he got off work, we'd go pick the stuff up, move to the next cluster of yards. So he would help me move the equipment every day when he got off work, and then I would just ride my bike there and back every day. So that's how I was doing it. I mean, that's the only way I knew how. My dad had to work, my mom went to work, and use what you got, right? I had a bike, so that's what I did. It worked out. So same today, it's kind of nice when you can park your truck and do 2 or 3 yards, as opposed to, 1 or, just hop around for 1. I had single yards that I would go do, but always liked when I could do 2 or 3 in a day. So
having that kind of can-do attitude, guys, that will serve you throughout your whole life. So one of the things we're big about is learning while you're working. So while you're hustling and sweating in 90-degree weather, what can you be doing to help yourself 5 or 10 years from now? One of the best ways is through audiobooks, podcasts, things that will help you become a better person. I'm going to take Jared's comment and springboard here for just a second. There's a guy who actually founded Tom's Shoes. Okay, Tom's Shoes. Are they still popular? Do we know? Okay. So this guy's super successful. He's helped a ton of people, and he's made a ton of money. What's his name? Blake. His name's Blake Mycoskie. He's got a book on Audible. Highly recommend it. Talks about how he started his business. And one of the things that he says is, he talks about the benefits of being broke. Damon John talks about this too. All right, Lecrae talks about this the whole idea of being broke makes you rich. The power of broke. This guy talks about it too. He says, hey, some companies have so much money, like they don't learn how to hustle. They don't learn to be disciplined. So by Jarrett starting out with very little, like he did not have very many things to work with.
You borrow your parents' lawnmower, right? But that's only going to get you so far. I mean, yeah, being broke taught me a lot of lessons.
That's right. That's right. So here's what he did, right? He hustled, but he also had the humility to ask for help, right? He had to have the humility to ask his dad for a ride. He had to have the humility to ask one of his customers, hey, can I store my stuff at your house? He had to build enough rapport to kind of make that win-win. And people kind of filled in the edges, but Jarrett made it work. So, okay, at what point would you say, like, I'm less broke now? At what point were you like, hey, this is actually starting to work?
I'm still broke.
Whatever, man.
No,
Whatever.
No, I mean, I really knew I had something. I was like 14, and I mean, I had so many yards that I couldn't really keep up with just a push mower, and I was like, okay, I've got the sales and I've got the income to back this. I'm going to buy a better piece of equipment, which will help me do more yards in less time, and help me, ultimately gain more yards, because I was kind of tapped out. You can only push mow so many acres of grass, right? But so that's when I like I said, I bought a piece of commercial equipment, and shortly after I bought my first walker, and just really went crazy from there.
How old were you when you bought the walker?
I was 14 when I bought the walker.
That's kind of young to have a walker.
Yeah, I mean, and it helps in a small town. And back then, I was driving at 14. I had a farm permit, so I could drive around town. So that makes a difference too. So I mean, I had a truck and trailer, and my walker, and I had a stand-up. There's a Toro walk-behind mowers, 40-inch walk-behind. I do some of my other yards in my bag with. And, I mean, that was my setup. I just had the one rig, and that's just how I did things. And I picked up my first big client. A guy in town, he owned 5 gas stations, and so I picked that up, and so I was taking care of his gas stations, and that was a big deal. That was like a $10,000 a year account, which was a huge deal for me. I mean, that was a big booster for me.
Big deal.
The guy's name was Tom. Tom saw something in me. He's like, hey, they were doing it in-house. He had an in-house maintenance man. He's like, I like the way this kid does work, and so he said, I got other things for my guys to do. Let's let him do this. And I did him a good job, and I mean, he really helped me. So, and I paid that walker off within the first year. I mean, it was quick. Back then, it was $8,500. Now you can't pick a new one up for like less than $14,000. But $8,500 for a 14-year-old is a lot of money. So
It's a big risk.
So yeah, it's a big risk, but I mean, it just grew like crazy from there.
So walk us through high level, just the numbers, okay? So at 14, how many yards? And walk us up through, did you sell at 20 or 19?